Hey there, everybody. It's Carlo from Immortal Collections. Me and Tristan are here today to sculpt live. Today, we're going to be sculpting dwarfs. We enjoy Tolkien and a lot of the other fantasy genre characters. So, through this little Immortal Sculpt Off, we will be um, doing different fantasy characters. Last week, we went live on Facebook and did a Jinn or a genie. We looked that up. This week we'll be doing dwarfs. As far as a catch up from last week, I was able to work a little bit more on my character. So we're going to switch over to that screen. I'm going to talk about what I was doing. Oh, and Tristan is here. Are you ready? Did I click on you too soon? You good to go?
No, I'm good to go.
Okay. I was just letting them know about the gin that I was working on, and you can give me some of the feedback. I know you looked at it earlier today, so just a little bit of we'll talk about it. So here's the guy here. I colored him in just a little bit. Usually, we work in grayscale, so this is just kind of to define some of my shapes. Um, so last week, I didn't get to the teeth yet, or I didn't really detail out the hair. But I went in here this week and just did a little bit of light sculpting again with the Damien standard brush, like we talked about before. Uh, Put some teeth in. These were originally some goblin teeth that I had. If I guess we can just walk through this process. If I turn off the head, I guess, or we can solo the teeth. Basically, that's what my teeth look like. So a lot of times I'll go through and just sculpt different teeth off of the same tooth because, I mean, basically all teeth are pretty much the same thing. I got these that I sculpted today to go with it because I think originally these teeth didn't have any back teeth to it. So we'll go off a solo, go back to the gin. So, I might go through and paint this beard up to match the hair over here. But right now, I was just kind of separating the pieces. Do you do that at all when you're working, Tristan?
Separate pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the time. Depending on
color wise. I mean,
color wise, I don't generally move into color when I'm working.
Mm-hmm.
I feel it, or I've thought about it. There are instances where I've seen that it could be beneficial to just see what it looks like with the color on it. It's just usually when I'm working, I never really even think to put it into color.
Right. And we have Ken Pool Collects here. Hey, what's up, buddy? Last time we seen him was at Legion's Con. That was a blast. He's got a great YouTube channel. I don't know if you've watched it before, Tristan, but he goes toy hunting, and
I've seen his.
He actually has a couple of our pieces that he's done some reviews with his vampires and stuff. So
okay,
they're really cool. So yeah. Anyway, this one's I think I just did it this way. I mean, I've done it a few times like this, but just I guess more for the stream than for us. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to go through and paint the beard all the different colors. Maybe at the end we might do it, but that's just the update on the sculpt we did last week. I made the nose a little bit longer recently, and I gave him like an Iron Sheik type of mustache right here, with the little pointy ends.
Yeah, I really like the expression he has on his face. Like he looks very like deceptive, right? Like
yeah, like I don't know if I want to look at him and make a wish. I'm like, this guy is not going to do what I want it to do.
Well, that's kind of like the thing I've seen in a lot of like genie depictions, right? It's like they'll grant your wish, but it may not be the wish that it may not be what you expected it to be, right? It's like each wish that they grant comes with like some kind of caveat.
Right.
Yeah.
So the other thing,
like,
yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was just saying, I feel like that was conveyed rather well.
Yeah.
Like that sort of like deceptive, like nature.
Right. Sweet. So this top piece right here, sometimes we do things out of rubber. Sometimes we do it out of an anti-impact resin. We've been doing most of our prints out of anti-impact. But this piece up here, we're going to make this the same width as the standard Mythic Legion helmet toppers, because there's a lot of different pieces that already plug into that. So you can make that kind of like you did with those horns on the goat guys that you did, you know. So
yeah, it'd be kind of funny to like see that guy with like a spike on his head, like what you'd see from like one of the
it would work
Dancers.
too, because if it's the same diameter, then that
Right.
would be cool. So that's this guy. So there's where we're at. As we go on, through the different episodes we do, we can go back and do updates on the different things we have. And I don't really know where it'll be available or when it'll be available, but that's not really the point of our little sculpt offs here. If you guys didn't catch us last week on Facebook, the point of it is just so that we can learn how to, well, basically Tristan needs to learn how to like concept a little bit faster, and I need to just work on it because I don't get a lot of time to sculpt. So I only do about 3 or 4 sculpts a year. This way it's kind of forcing us to do sculpting every week, which Tristan already does. So
Well, not only that, but it'll give you an opportunity to like get more stuff out there as well. Even if a lot of it's not refined, you'll have a ton of pieces that are within a certain stage that you can go back to and work on a little bit easier in the
all
future.
right. Yep, that's what I think. All right, so let's just we'll start with a new file. We'll start with a dwarf head. All right. We haven't really sculpted a dwarf. I have a while back, but it never saw the light of day. So it's been a long time. So we're just going to jump into that. Tristan, you can share your screen whenever you get a chance. So yeah, we're also going to IshCon this year. So some of these sculpts might actually make it out there as well. So if we like them, we're going to continue on them. I like my genie, so I'm going to continue on it, and we'll see where we get to. All right. So Tristan, I'm gonna switch over to you here,
Okay.
and we'll full screen you and just let you get to it.
Alrighty. So, I mean, usually when I start off ahead, I start it pretty much the same way every time. Pretty much like a technique I learned off of a YouTube series to just kind of make it easier. But I think I'm gonna switch it up a little bit, make it a little bit wider than the normal head because it's supposed to be the dwarf head. So
Yeah, I've not seen that method that you're using right now, pulling that jaw up. That's how you started that out last week, and
so I learned this technique. A lot of people watching probably won't know, but I figure you will, and any other artists
sculptors
or sculptors might recognize. There's this YouTuber Danny Mac on YouTube. He doesn't make a whole lot of videos these days, but he had like a really probably one of the best methods for like starting ahead that I've ever seen. So I've pretty much just copied his method for the last few years. That's when I start ahead from scratch.
right.
Um,
Oh, wrong one.
I've changed his technique up a little bit to like kind of work best for me because some of the stuff that he would showcase, just like
Danny Mac used to do a lot of cartoon females. That's when I was watching him the most, and he said basically he wasn't going to do men, but I've seen him do, and obviously he's had to diversify to get more sculpts out there. But yeah, he's a real big influence on me as well.
yeah, it's just he presented it in an easy and digestible way. It just made sense, and so that's how I've done it.
I find it odd as far as sculpting though. Usually when I start to sculpt, I go straight in and like you would do with your hand sculpting, and just thumb in where the eyes would go, and you're building up the form a lot more beforehand.
I'm just building the basic shape of the head.
Right.
Like the very next step is digging into the eyes.
Right.
So So that's kind of how I go about that. Kind of carving the nose. The show. You can see it's got kind of this like Roman helmet
Hey,
look.
he looks like Magneto right now.
Yeah, see.
Like a real quick Magneto head.
And then, you know, you just figure out where your primary shapes are going to be.
Right. So you do the cheekbone right there. I see you have it like you have it
in where the mouth was going to be.
Right.
And then I can pull out the nose.
See, yeah, I see you. I think that we're looking at the dwarven features and you're doing it right. I mean, the typical, not dwarf, but like Tolkien-esque, the way the fantasy dwarves are drawn. So it's like you're looking for the big nose. And like, I find when I'm watching dwarf sculpts that people a lot of times either get them too cartoony or too realistic. And what are you going to go with at this point? More of a cartoony.
I haven't really decided. I thought about going with some kind of like, just like as I was thinking about it earlier, I thought about kind of like a character. I don't know if anybody's ever done this before. Probably have. I wouldn't be surprised. But like, say like a female dwarf, right? That kind of pulls her hair around and braids it in the front to act more like a beard.
I'm sorry, I was reading comments. Did you say you're doing a female?
I was thinking about doing a female dwarf.
You want to pull the braids around like a beard?
Yeah, pull her hair around like a beard.
Yeah, okay. We got Wholesome Warlock here, Purple Gang. We got Raylan, and thanks for coming by. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, nice to see you guys.
All right. Well, I'm going to click over to me because I just got a ball on the screen. So
you got it.
We'll see my way of starting it out. So first of all, what I do is he kind of moved it out and started sculpting with the move tool. I do the same thing, but I pretty much try to get the head shape first by pulling where the chin would be, basically the same thing as he does, and then pushing in here where the forehead would be. Then I do different size, looking for forehead, you know what I mean? And then seeing where the muzzle would be for where the teeth would be. From this point, it's pretty much similar to what Tristan does, right? Is I'll just go ahead and draw in a nose there and the brow line. All right, so if I'm going for a character with a bigger nose, I'll just block out a bigger nose, like so. And if you can see, my resolution is real small. And Tristan, did you subdivide yours as well, or did you not do that yet?
No, I'm just working through Sculptures Pro.
Yeah, so I'm just
Sorry.
You don't subdivide right away.
I generally don't subdivide until I've gotten all of my basic shapes right out.
So if you look at this, like what I'm looking for the proportions here, and there'll be a beard added onto it, so this really doesn't matter too much. But I'm looking for a stronger jaw, right? Because they have some big wide jaws. I think you'll see big mouths, exaggerated features here. And again, if this goes into the cartoony look, right? That's not a bad thing. You can, once you see where it's going, you can either push it one way or another. And neither one of us are looking off of really any reference right now. We're just kind of going at it however we end up. That's part of this free flow concept of sculpting and whatnot. So I'll blow it up a little bit on the screen. All right. So, and thanks everybody for joining. We're real new at this, so if I don't catch some chats and whatnot, sorry about that. I'm kind of juggling everything here. I'm sure we'll get better as the weeks go on. Again, here, I have this masked off for an ear, and then from here I'll mask off the head so it doesn't mess with it, and then I'll just kind of draw out the ear like so. And I don't really have a style on how I work. I think everything ends up being a little bit different. So I'm just kind of still finding the way I like to do things. And again, when you look at Tristan's sculpting and my sculpting, they'll be quite different. I'm going to pull these ears out kind of like so, kind of give him that wrestler cauliflower ear look, right? Have these big old ears out. And almost like Dopey, or which one? I don't even know which dwarf it is from Disney. But so we have these ears here, and again, my head's looking more round. Tristan's was probably more like normal, natural human proportions. But even from here, like at this point, I just don't. I'm not really thinking. I'm just seeing how it sculpts, how it shapes up. I think when we have a reference that we're going off to, or if I do a sketch in the computer, it'll be different like that. But yeah, I'm gonna go back over to Tristan now. There's my start right there. So it's a little something. When it comes back, I'm sure it'll look different. So Tristan's already on to lips. You're already on to lips here.
Making a very sassy dwarf.
Yeah. It's kind of like the expression you did last week. Do you find that your expressions kind of start out the same and then change, or?
Sometimes, I mean, again, like when you're working like symmetrically to start, I think sometimes they can come off feeling very similar to one another. But once I like go more into it, they usually end up looking quite a bit differently.
Right.
At the end. I think the biggest challenge I'm gonna have with this particular model is like, you know, I've already made it look a lot more masculine, and I didn't really do a whole lot of like research on like how I would do a somewhat masculine but also still somewhat feminine face.
Well, why do you want to do masculine and feminine?
Well, that, you know, we were talking about like Lord of the Rings and like how they portray dwarves and that, and one thing I always thought was interesting, and this is kind of why I have this idea, is that scene where I think it's Gimli. He talks about how people believe that there aren't any dwarf women at all, or that the dwarf women look a lot like the dwarf men, right?
Right.
I kind of wanted to see or portray that in my own way, and like kind of figure out how, like.
Well, I think if you add hair to I mean, how you're talking the braids, that'll work. I mean, that's,
well, yeah, that's why I thought about the braids, like coming over as like a beard somewhat.
I gotcha. Well, the face right now looks masculine, so you know, Eric Treadaway sculpted that female dwarf face on the new wave. I ordered that one like first thing because I thought it was really cool. And that's really the first female dwarf sculpt that he's done to in the Mythic Legions line to, like, you know, establish what they're gonna somewhat look like. But you know, as far as the old debate, like to like have a beard on the female dwarves or not, I heard one time from, I don't know, a YouTube video or something like that, that was supposed to be like a throwaway joke about the whole, is that, do they have beards or not? And then if you actually, this is not the same, I mean, it is the same universe, but it's the Rings of Power show that we watched. You watched that with us, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the main guy's dwarf's wife, she did not have a beard. Maybe she had some long sideburns, but I don't think she had Oh wow, we got a lot of. Hey, Hedgehog Action, check it out, buddy. Where we at? Oh, full screen me. Jonathan's got a show coming on. I believe it's 6. Is it 6 o'clock tonight? I can't remember what time it was, but I got the. Oh, I stand up. There we go. Hedgehog Action shirt on right there, and I'm blurry. I don't know why. I don't know why. So it's a great show. He's got actually Nerdzoic, I think Nerdzoic on tonight, so that'll be fun. We're gonna check that out. My head's looking around. What did he say now? Hey now. Purple Gang Gang. We got purple hearts all in the chat. I know nobody's subscribed to us yet, but he's trying to get 250s. I had my wife sign up for that, and we're gonna go back to Tristan. Yeah. So Jenny's part of the subscribe push. You got a lot of nice flesh bits on that. That guy. Mine's looking a little similar to yours, Tristan, to tell you the truth. So I think I'm gonna have to change mine up.
I actually really like how this is coming out. Like usually, like on a first pass, like my more human like heads don't usually turn out this good looking.
We have Mrs. Immortal in the chat now. Make sure the stream's going good on the YouTube end. Yeah, so last week I wasn't like clicking back and forth or reading comments a lot. So I think I'm not going to quite get as far as you get, Tristan, but we'll do a little bit there. Oh, I blew my nose up. I don't like that because now it looks exactly like yours. And I think the reason why we've waited so long, I guess, to do these dwarf parts, right, is because there's already such an amount in the community of people knocking out dwarf heads. And
well, like, another hard thing about that is like the overall shape of a lot of dwarves are pretty similar. So it's like if you think about like the defining features of a dwarf, it's usually in like the shape, like the overall like shape of the head, the nose, and the beard. I feel like, maybe the ears. Maybe you could like put.
Yeah, I'm popping my ears out right now.
More defining features in the ears.
Well, most humanistic heads do follow the same rules, so you'll see us kind of doing similar parts. I think I'm going to make my eyes a little bit bigger than your eyes.
I think I'm going to give my guy like killer eyebrows.
Well, that's another thing that I've seen a lot of is the eyebrows. So that's another defining feature when we're talking about the defining feature. I'll switch back over to mine. So I'm at the eyeball step right now.
This is already like turning out really well.
You liking it?
I'm at least liking the start.
How'd you feel about your head from last week? Are you gonna continue on that at all, or do you think that's dead in the water?
I might continue it. Yours is already coming out like really well, so.
Well, I'm glad you like it. I didn't know about it. I'm always just like you. It's like never know if it's really
always like second guessing.
Yeah. But yeah, I got these big ears coming out like this. And do your eyebrows. Let's see here. Oh, you know what I've been doing this whole time? I haven't been using my pen. I've been using the mouse we go back and forth. Yeah, like I use the mouse to click on the chat. What's up, Van? Purple Gang Gang. Yeah, I use the mouse to click on the monitor, and I use the pen for the chat. So a little bit of fumbling here this week. I'm like, why am I not? Oh, that's right. All right. Boring screen here. Sorry, I shouldn't have. So we'll do some lips here. When I'm doing the lips, you have this pad of fat right here. That's on every mouth. So we're gonna do that. Are you going to do your beard separate?
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's the best way to go with that. Like I did last week, I'm going to mask off, or I don't even really need to do that. We're just going to suck that in to make the nostril holes here. All right, and maybe do this a little bit. Are you going to have an open mouth or a shut mouth, Tristan?
I mean, right now it's kind of a shut mouth, but
I mean, in the end, are you going to?
could
Because I'll
open
do
it.
the opposite. So, do you want to end up with a shut mouth or an open mouth?
I think I'm gonna do just like a grinning mouth, like with like teeth, you know.
All right. So that's a. Oh, I'm gonna do that. So that's a choice that I'm going to make now. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lasso off this jaw, kind of like this.
Also making his. He's really round now.
And I don't want the back of the head, so I'm going to invert that. So just so I get that jaw, and then I'm going to use the rotate tool, and I'm going to position that kind of right here where the jaw would rotate at, right? And so then when I rotate that, it's going to open that mouth up a little bit like so. And it looks like a horror show right now, but after I come back through here and smooth this out, it'll give me the we're going to go ahead and put another subdivision on there. When you subdivide, it makes the vertices smaller, and I can go back in here and use. Why is this happening? Oh, because I'm on move. There we go. And I can just kind of cut that back in there. And I'm just pushing that in right here and making that mouth cavity to where I can end up putting the teeth inside there. And then see all these things. And this is what you're talking about, Tristan. I think I'm just going to go over to Sculptris Pro.
Yeah, that's why I work
Because
in Sculptris Pro.
What we'll do here is we'll smooth this out, and it's adding vertices in here.
No, it's not.
It's not. Why did it kick
yeah,
on?
it's not turned on.
It's supposed to.
Do you have any subdivision levels on?
Oh, see, that's why I keep Tristan around for, because I don't remember this stuff. So I'm gonna delete the lower. Here we go.
Yeah, you can't have any subdivision levels.
Yeah. So no, it's not doing it yet. There we go. So you see how it gets a lot smoother there. So that's just me opening the mouth. I'm gonna click back over to Tristan and see where he's at.
That'd be good, because I really wanted to show how I'm gonna like kind of separate these two lips here. So you see I got the top, the jaw masked off. I think what I want to do is I want to kind of open it more on the sides, kind of like just give him a wider grin.
Okay. So you're keeping the upper lip the same. That's why you masked it.
For now, I'm kind of working. I'm gonna kind of work on both separately. Start with the bottom jaw and then adjust the top jaw to sort of match what I want to do with it.
Right.
But sometimes, that will involve me having to like actually unmask the entire lower jaw just so everything is moving correctly or positioned correctly. Because one thing I think is important is to make sure that, your jaw, because your jaw moves with your mouth when you open it, obviously. So I want to make sure that everything is positioned in the right place.
Okay.
And then, from here I can maybe move that up.
Thanks everybody for stopping by. I didn't know if anybody showed up. This is like the first thing we've actually done on YouTube. So
are we on YouTube right now?
Yeah, we didn't go to Facebook this time. We got less traffic on Facebook. So, but actually posted on it today. So that probably helps, right?
probably.
Last week we did the gin, and it was just like a test stream. I didn't have a double monitor, so there's no way to really run the thing efficiently. So, um,
Could he pull the lip back in a little bit because his mouth is wider? Because your bottom lip actually expands when you're grinning.
so I don't know what I just did, and again, doing it live, I don't. I'm trying to make. Well, I guess doing it live, I'm going to be making a lot more mistakes than I did. But somehow, when I subdivided it, it like took away all my definition of what I just did. It's like I have to go back through here now and kind of build all my forms back up. And I don't know why that happened. So
Puff up the cheeks a little bit.
And again, Tristan, you like to use the clay build-up brush, where I just use the regular, the standard brush a lot in your sculpts. And tell me why you think that brush is the way to go.
It's just really good for building forms. Like, I can block in basic shapes really easily.
Right.
Because I work in a very like, it's like kind of like a hierarchy system with detail. Yeah, I'll start with, and this is how I just learned to do it. I'll start with like the most basic of basic shapes, to really get the form of what I want it to be. And then once I have that, like, I'll remesh it, or I'll subdivide it or rework it into, like, being optimized the way I want it, and then I'll start adding the secondary details or the more defining details. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I gotcha.
And I kind of just work that way, or work from there.
So since this is like it's episode 2, but this is our first one that we'll probably be keeping track of. Tell me a little bit about your sculpting history and your art history in general. Because I know, but they don't, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure some people have probably heard through our other streams, but so I pretty much started doing art because of Carlo. He was a big inspiration for me because when I met him, he had just graduated college at the same school that I eventually ended up going to. He was also the reason for that. But in college, it wasn't really like the experience that I thought it was going to be, or like I didn't exactly learn as much as I thought I was going to. And
Now,
ended up
why do you
teaching
think?
myself
Why do you think
more.
that was?
I think honestly, I think it was because I had certain goals that I wanted to meet in college, and we weren't getting to them fast enough. And I already knew the majority of, like, the prerequisite courses that we were taking. Oh, either that or it just didn't really apply to me. So I didn't really invest as much into those as I did just going straight into the programs that I wanted to learn about on the school's computers and teaching myself how to do it. You know what I mean?
So like you went in with a decent knowledge of ZBrush. Are you talking about like other programs that they were teaching?
Programs, techniques. I mean, we had courses that we had to take in school that was like American architecture, right? I took that because I thought it would be an easy credit. It wasn't. I ended up failing that class. But it was just there were kind of a lot of classes that were like that, where it's like, they were required of us just to get the credits, but they didn't really pertain to what we were like, pursuing.
Okay. All right. So then from college, give me your year after. So what year did you start doing ZBrushing then?
So the year I really started like diving deep into ZBrush was probably, I would want to say, at the end of my first year, I think.
Well,
Um,
we worked on ZBrush when you were in high school, right?
yeah, we worked on ZBrush when I was in high school, but I didn't really have the clear grasp of it that I felt I needed, right? And it's kind of funny because I I watched like one video series that um, I found on a website that it's like one of those like educational websites where they have like courses and stuff. Uh, and it was something that was paid for by the school, but
So,
I
oh, hold on. So you watched? Okay, I'll just say what I'm trying to ask. So you ended up following courses that weren't college courses to learn ZBrush.
yeah, they
Extra
weren't.
courses on your own that wasn't college courses.
Yeah, I mean they were courses, or they were things that were provided by the school, like resources that were provided by the school.
Right.
And the majority of the time they would just tell us to use those resources anyway instead of like actually instructing us.
Right. Okay.
um, but I mean, I won't say I didn't learn anything in college, but the majority of what I do now are things that I taught myself.
Okay. So you went to college again for video game design, and upon graduating, decided to pivot, or decided that
Uh,
wasn't your industry.
yeah, I kind of saw a lot of things in the game industry that I didn't like.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of studios that took advantage of their workers,
So you're
or
talking about crunch time, right?
I mean, crunch. I I mean, I always kind of thought of crunch as being like something that was just kind of inherent to the industry. So I don't think I really like thought too much about crunch, but I've heard a lot of cases about like some studios that didn't necessarily like pay their workers fairly. So, and just like other drama in the industry of like EA, or uh, other studios that were just like greedy, and they didn't.
Oh, you beat me to the beard. I was doing my beard the whole time. You got yours. Let's make sure our beards look different at least.
Yeah, they just did. It just felt at the time. It just felt like the industry didn't really respect craft, you know. And I think at the time I was getting really into D&D, and I decided I wanted to do sort of pivot a little bit and do something else. So I decided to do D&D miniatures,
D&D
which
miniatures.
which I guess another reason could be is like a lot of the technical sides of like character creation in video games or movies or film, or however. Um, I don't want to. I feel like it makes me sound like a bad artist to say that, like, oh, it's just too much for me, or too complicated, and I just didn't really want to deal with it. Like making like hair in video games, because you don't make hair by sculpting it most of the time.
It's procedural, right? Or
It's
it's
procedural, or you've got like the hairs like mapped onto the figure, or the piece, and it was just something that was like really hard for me to wrap my brain around, and along with like a bunch of other aspects of the process. And you know just I like to work pretty much mainly in ZBrush. Like I don't switch to other programs generally when I'm working.
right.
Maybe that's hindered me in some way as an artist, but I I like the work that I've been doing, and it feels
All right. So then
fulfilling
from
to me.
from college, you decided to go into minis. So that's where we started the Immortal Collections brand, really, right?
Yeah.
So we
And
started
then
doing minis, and it was mostly Tristan. I did a couple here and there, and then we bought a 3D printer shortly before you graduated. So when you did graduate, we had already been 3D printing for pretty much as long as anybody has in the private sector, right? Like I'm
yeah.
sure that the Form Labs one came out right around the same time that the Anycubic Photon came out, which was our first one, and I was able to 3D print out some of your uh, things you sculpted out in college real early. Um, and those, we still have those. Some of them leaked because um, we didn't know about like resin pockets and things like that. And once we've, been doing this for, what is it now? How long we've been printing? Like 4 years, something like that, Tristan.
4 or 5.
Yeah. So after we've been doing it for so long, it's like we know what to look for in the sculpts so they don't leak resin. A lot of these newer guys, you know, have yet to find out if some of their stuff's leaks, because honestly, we've had stuff that's leaked after a year or two and there's no way to tell. And that's kind of like this being a new 3D printing and being a new, you know, business or whatever. A lot of people are just trying to fumble around and eventually figure it out. So, um, so you're doing braids on this guy now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, my camera's not where I want it to be. Have you researched braids? Because I told you I did a quick research yesterday on braids. So
I've researched braids in the past, so I kind of had
get it right. They just fold over top of
familiarity.
each other.
Yeah.
All right. So it's going to be one.
I kind of like how this is.
So is this is this supposed to be a female still, or are you going male with it?
I don't know. I still like the idea of doing the like hair wrapping around to like look like a beard.
Right.
Um, but I haven't decided if I want to do it as like a woman or just maybe like an elderly dwarf that just like can't really.
Okay.
You know, actually, I think I remember. I think I remember one case I've seen where they've done that. Didn't they do that in The Hobbit with like one of the characters?
I'm not sure.
I kind of like his hairline. Hold
Yeah,
on.
it's a weird. It's a weird hairline right there.
Um,
I mean, I don't hate it. You know what I mean?
Wars. Why don't you switch over to your guy for a bit?
All right. So I'm just we'll go full screen with me. So I'm just sculpting where I want the eyebrows. The beard, I did a sphere into the beard. For these, it's just so they fit the eyebrows a lot better. We're gonna do extract. So I mask off the point right there, and you tell me where extract is, Tristan.
Extract is
Is it under
it
subtool?
yeah it's under subtool. It's the second from the bottom on the subtool list.
There it is. All right. So we check out the thickness, and when we like the thickness of it, we just hit accept, and all of a sudden I have these eyebrows pretty much in place where they're supposed to be. From this time for this point, I guess I can just go in and just kind of do a little bit of bushing them up as well. So this is not part of the other model. So when I work on this, I don't have to worry about hitting the one underneath of it, but just a little bit of that action happening. And then from here, I can go in and smooth this out so there's less of that ridge here.
Ooh, hold on, I just had
Your eyebrows don't do that.
I should like a really cool idea.
NYC Figure Fanatic, what's up, bud? Seen them at Legion's Con. This is fun. We don't really get to talk to a lot of people. We'll maybe eventually have some guests on. I don't know. I wouldn't mind having like somebody painting on, sharing a camera or um,
It'd be pretty cool to have other sculptors coming on and
oh, that'd
like
be awesome. If we could just have
doing
like four of us or
yeah
three or even three of us, right?
yeah that'd be really cool.
But yeah, because I do a lot of painting and people have known us for our, you know, combo work, which is all the Oni stuff. And mostly Tristan was doing the sculpting. Ooh, don't want to do that. Tristan was doing the sculpting for that. And I was painting them a lot of the time. So like I'll go through spurts where I'm just customizing actual characters. I'll have times where I'm actually sculpting on ZBrush like this. And then times where we're just throwing customs together like crazy. All them customs at Legion's Con this year were just awesome. I went around this year and bought a bunch of heads from people, unpainted heads from the 3D printers, and then painted heads from everybody that does the painting and stuff like that. So we have more than enough heads to paint. And I felt like, Tristan, I felt like our table was a little light this year,
Yeah, well,
I know you started doing commissions for a lot of people. So like you didn't do a lot of sculpting. You did do that giant alligator that everybody liked. So I mean,
yeah, I I kind of get what you mean. Um, in a way, I kind of also feel like it was maybe a bit light. Um, or we could have done more. Maybe we just didn't do more or as much as we had in previous years.
well, we also had PowerCon right before that. We did that, and that was fun.
Yeah, that's true.
So we're doing IshCon this year and Legion's Con. So that's if you guys are looking for us to be anywhere, those two places will where we'll be. So, and we're going to be at the giant like island, kind of like the Wolf King Island was last year. So, and we got some surprises we're thinking about doing for that. So we'll stay tuned for those. I don't think we're going to reveal those until it comes closer to it or wait until it happens. Let me see your guys' nose so I can make sure mine's different. Add the stage. Oh, you already got those things on it? Little braid holders. All right. So now I know that where yours are at. I'll make sure mine are somewhere different. Here's my question, Tristan. I don't really mean to be anyway, but how would that wrap under his cheek? Wouldn't the beard be growing off of the face right there?
Well, it's not because that hair is coming from the top of his head,
Oh, so his
side
face
of
is
his head.
bald?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I understand. I guess I'll go ahead and start my braid up. I'll do the same thing as you're doing. I'll start with the cylinder for the what is it? Is it a bead? A beard braid bead?
Oh, to be honest with you,
It's the thing. It's like the toggles I used to put.
It's a thing you see on all dwarves.
Yes, it'd be a bead. I'm thinking about, well, I just shaved, right? I only get my beard so long before I can't handle it anymore because it gets caught at my job when I'm stacking product and it gets caught on the dolly when I'm wheeling things around. So, and plus my wife's not real crazy about it. So, but I was thinking about doing beard beads with our little Immortal Collection logo on it, but that doesn't really work if I don't have a beard to stick it in. We talked about doing rings with our Immortal Collection logo as well, but we'll see how that works out when it comes time. Let's see. Tristan,
Hmm.
you want to talk a little bit?
Yeah.
We got to share conversation here.
So like right now, I kind of thought it'd be cool if like it had some like rings or something kind of coming off of it. So that's kind of what I'm doing now. I was just trying to figure out like different ways to make the designs a bit more interesting, or do things that I haven't seen like other people do with dwarves, which is kind of hard because dwarves are so popular. So there's obviously a lot of different ones out there. Um, so I think the biggest challenge is really just like figuring out, you know, how to make your piece stand out. And I think the having pieces that stand out or are different is very important to my creative I guess motivation.
Mm-hmm.
It's like because you don't want to make the same thing like everybody's made, right? It's like you know people in the cabal all the time saying like, oh, this looks too much like this looks too much like that.
I mean, I don't know if that's
And
the cabal as much as
well,
like
I mean,
all art,
maybe not
all
specifically
art,
the cabal,
all
but
artists in general. You know what I mean? Like that's a number one gripe. Like, how do you do a werewolf that doesn't look like another werewolf? Like most werewolves look the same. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So, but I understand what you're saying. Like,
it's hard.
we've done the onis because like a lot of people haven't been doing onis, and then I start seeing people doing onis, so it's like okay, time to branch out and do something else. You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely. I'm gonna split that. I want to use
What can you hang off of that ring that you're making?
You could probably hang anything off of it, but I just thought it would be kind of like a cool addition, and you really could just hang like anything off of it.
Right.
So I feel like it would probably be better to like maybe if we had some like string or something, or maybe we did some like interesting bead design, we could actually like tie those onto the
Oh,
bead.
so you're talking about multimedia that attaches to the print, kind of like the what did we do? Didn't we do like some oni that waist piece for that samurai armor
Uh
that I did? We attached them with rings. We attached them with metal rings.
oh yeah. I did do like a staff that I don't think ever saw the light of day.
Oh, for the Tengu.
Yeah, that had like the metal rings on them.
Right, I remember that.
I really like that.
That's because I never painted it.
Is that why?
Well, I never painted it. Well, good because like
I never
he made
promoted it too.
Well, no, well the Tengu part never caught. You know what I mean? Like people
Yeah.
don't really even know what a Tengu is, and
Right.
it actually fits really well with the bird. Like they got the Tropolis stuff, but yeah, it was in Legion shop and it didn't go too well. So there's no, you know,
There's no real
push
drive to.
one. Not to say it won't fit something later on. You know what I mean?
Very true. Okay, yeah, I'm liking how this is looking. I'm gonna mirror that over now.
I'll click back over. No, I'll click back over to me.
Yeah, I kind of like that. That's pretty sweet.
All right, so I just took a cylinder. I made this little shape for the beard bead, and then I have the thing coming in and out. I'm going to take a second version of this and then come down here to the bottom again and cap it off. So like I've seen the beard beads cap them off, and then I've seen the hair sticking out of the bottom. And I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to delete this one. And then we're going to subdivide the beard hair part. I'll go to both of us here. So the part that's like right here, I'm going to shrink that up and then just make it a little bit of hair peeking out of the bottom. I think once we start doing braids, like it'll open up a lot of other, like you can copy and paste those braids, right? Because it's like, how many times do you really have to do a braided pattern? Because it's, you know, we talked about doing the sculpted version, and then we talked about doing like a tri brush, and right now I think we're both just going to sculpt the beard, right? We're not gonna.
Yeah, I'm just sculpting the beard right now. I mean, and maybe if I spend more time on it, I'll devote a little bit more time to that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the moment, yeah, I'm just sculpting it.
All right, so I'll go in with the standard brush now and kind of do the same thing that Tristan did on his, which is drawing what I think a braid looks like. So from what I've seen online on the pictures, they kind of have this shape going in through the middle.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then this one comes over and through like this, because it's going to be pulling off of the face this way. So that's kind of like this shape. And this shape really just, and I did this in 2D last night, Tristan. So like, I don't know how it's going to translate into 3D, but we'll see.
Do you want to see what I kind of got going on here?
Well, let me just finish this basic pattern real quick, and then we'll click over to you.
Okay. I really like what I kind of got going on here.
All right. So this is basically what I came up with on the one side, right? And then the other side comes through right about here and just loops over this direction, like so.
Okay.
So this side comes through kind of like that. So then you go about halfway down to this one again, right where maybe the bottom of the tip would be, and then it comes over like this. And I'm going to make it go like that. So you have one coming here and then one coming into this shape. And then you come down here again, just kind of doing the same things and the same here. Now, when I get to this part, I'll switch over to the move tool and I'll kind of pull these out more in the middle like that. And I'll do it on both sides, kind of like that and like that. And again, this is my first shot at this, so if it looks janky, I'll research some more and do it again. But basically, they come out like that. And then this side would come out here like this. So you're going to do like a bump, a bump, a bump, and a bump down here at the bottom. And then a bump, a bump, a bump. And this would come up in kind of like that. So that's the start of the beard braid. And then the last thing that I would do is I'd try to cut it in on the spots where I know that it's supposed to cut in at. So like this is over top of this. So this one definitely needs cut in. And then this one goes over top. And this one comes over top of this one. So I got to make sure that this one right here is higher in the front because that tucks underneath. And then these kind of does this, kind of does this, and this, and this. And I'll just kind of keep playing with this while we go back to Tristan. But that's the start of a braid.
So this is kind of where I'm at. I'm
gonna full screen on you for a second, Tristan, and I'll be right back.
Okay.
You can keep talking. So there's no
So
hair.
I kind of made some adjustments already to the beard. One thing I realized kind of while he was doing his explanation on like how braids like kind of weave together, I realized that the middle like little tuft of hair that I had here made it look too much like it was growing off of his face, which that's not what I want. I don't really want it to be growing off of his face. I want it to be coming from the top of his head. So I took out that little middle tuft, and now I feel like you can really tell that it's coming more from the top of his head than from his chin. Um, I also, as I was like just sculpting that out, I kind of wound the hair on the sides, so it kind of just like uh kind of curls a little bit, or uh just like weaves. So I felt like that added just a little bit of extra character to it. And if I go in later with like the multi-mesh brush, um I can like kind of follow these lines that I put and sort of make them more uneven and interesting.
Cool. And what's the ball at the bottom going to be?
That's gonna be me continuing the braid instead of just like sculpting off of the one singular mesh.
Right.
I'm gonna separate it, and then I can just take this mesh and like repeat the pattern as far as I want to.
Okay. I got you.
It might make it a little bit. Might give him a really long beard, but we can shrink that later.
So a long beard out of hard resin would just end up being like impossible to bend. But the good thing about, Legion's torsos like these would go on is that their midsection really doesn't bend, right?
Yeah.
It's one solid piece. So you could drag it. I don't know. Have we seen any like dragging the floor yet? Have we seen anybody's 3D prints with the beard dragging the floor?
I don't think so. I haven't seen any
No, I don't think
that
so.
have gone that low. That'd be kind of cool though.
All right, we're going to go back over to mine. I'm doing something else. So this is the little bits of hair that are sticking out of the bottom of the braid. So just kind of build it up like this. And it's really just scribbling the way I think the hair would fall and go. And, make sure you pay attention to the back. A lot of people don't see the back of the heads or the back of the toys or the back of the beards. But you never know. People get these things in some crazy shots, and you don't want to have any part of your model. I know when I like take pictures of my model, like I find all the little things that I cheaped on because it's right in front of the camera. So that's like, let's see where we're gonna go. We're gonna go to snake hook. So that's something you gotta think about.
Yeah. I really like this.
But your thing?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll come back over in a little bit. All right, so there's what I did there. And from here, I'll just refine it more and more each time. And then I'm going to go back to the top of this braid here. But before I do that, I'll pass it back over to Tristan.
Yeah, I feel like he's really coming
Full
together.
screen in a little bit.
And then what I can do.
I feel like one of the dwarves from the Hobbit movie had a big front tie like that.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like I feel like I remember one of the characters looking like that. But I looked and I couldn't find one that I was looking for.
it's like you gotta like we're just faking this by drawing it, you know, by sculpting it like this. But like you gotta think, what's the actual hair doing underneath? So you gotta think about how it's tying. You gotta think about it in a 3-dimensional space, uh, which is hard to do, you know.
Yeah. No doubt. No doubt. I was thinking about like adding something different to like the end of his beard, like instead of just like the tuft of hair, like maybe like adding something like really weird, I thought about maybe like a big like mace ball or like a hook or something, like just
I
at the
thought you
end of
said
his beard.
a baseball. I said, huh?
Nah.
Say what?
Because like imagine like he's fighting and he's like whipping his beard around and it's just like hitting people and like
That'd be cool. Go for it. Now, obviously, you don't have to put in too much work on the back there, right?
Doesn't really matter what the back looks like too much. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't widen out the back of his head because like the back of the cranium is a lot wider than the front.
Are you going to be able to see his ears?
I'm gonna cut in the ears like right past the little braid that I started there.
Yeah.
As far as like how much of it's like actually showing, I haven't decided yet. Did we share this to the Cabal?
I just put a picture in, and I didn't know how to share the link. So, you know what else I don't know how to do? I don't know how to like stop it live streaming on YouTube. Like when I looked at the StreamYard, it says you have to end it on StreamYard and then go into YouTube and end it. But I don't know where to find that in YouTube yet. So after we hit close on the stream, I'm gonna have to figure out how to do that. So
I see.
Yeah, just definitely winging it here for a little bit. We'll figure it out. But no, I'll learn how to share that link here soon, hopefully. And really, like, this is not too, like, I guess the beard drawing part is not too entertaining, you know? I think the most entertaining that you can get on these things is like watching the head develop at first. And then the nitpicking that we do for hours afterward is not really something that people would even tune in for. That's why, like, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say that's why I like kind of how I'm doing mine and just like sticking to a lot of the like larger shapes and not getting too deep into the nitty gritty right now.
Yeah.
So one, it'll be a bit more entertaining, and two, it helps with like figuring out where you want it to go later without putting in like a ton of work right out the gate and going back in later and sit and.
Can you see mine? Are these reading as braids?
Oh yeah, it's totally reading as braids. Are mine reading as braids?
I'm looking at my screen now.
Well, I mean, from what you saw of mine.
Yeah, it looks like it's tied off.
Yeah, I didn't really worry.
On the back, obviously, don't turn it around. I think you're probably gonna have to dish out that back a little bit too to push it out.
Yeah, I'm gonna like kind of
Turn
cut
around
some
to
of
the
that
front.
back.
Turn around to the front again. Okay, so you see how the bottom of yours is the middle braid section, right?
Mm-hmm.
That has to come over top, definingly over top of it. So,
Okay.
like, okay, let me go to mine, and then I'll show you. Oh, there we go. Mine. All right, so you can see here. You can see my cursor, right?
Yeah.
On the screen. So this part has to go up over top of the one above it. So
Okay.
this one has to be underneath. So you got to make sure that
Okay.
this one is crawling
Yeah.
underneath of it. And
Yeah,
it
I
looks like
see.
yours, it looks like on yours, it's not quite doing that yet.
Right. That makes
So
sense.
just try to fix that. I mean, it does read like a braid for sure, but
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
just one
just
thing.
needs just needs
If
more
I if I
finagling.
have one, obviously I criticize. We go back and forth. So um, if I had one bit of criticism on that so far, it would be that.
It just doesn't look like the braids are.
But yeah, that's the thing. Like, and then so I guess on the beard braid, the smallest, like the deepest part. I'll show you on mine again. It sucks that we can't both have both of our things on screen at once.
Yeah.
So we'll look on my screen real quick. So this part right here is probably the deepest.
Mm-hmm.
It's the bottom. So I'm just like going in with the standard brush and kind of like tracing over that because this one comes up over top and then this one comes up over top. And then I'm trying to figure out what this one does, right?
Yeah.
Because this one goes underneath as well. So then this part has to be on the second one, still has to. So I guess both of these are always on top. The one that's on this side has to be on top, and these ones always have to be underneath. But then this one's underneath of this one. So it's like there's a bunch of different levels to this thing. If we're nitpicking, which I always
Right.
do, right?
Which we always do.
So we'll go back to yours. Do we know how long we've been going for? It's 3:15.
It's
An hour.
it's been about an hour.
Yeah, we're a little over now, an hour and 15 minutes probably. So last time we had to cut this off at an hour because we had to leave. But this one and the ones going forward, hopefully we'll do more of a 2-hour time. I don't know if we want to go. I mean, I don't know.
I mean,
That or
I'm
not.
feeling pretty good with where my guy's at right now.
Yeah.
I want that to look more like it's in from it, as opposed to just being like just like pasted on there. And I want it to look like it's actually coming from the side.
Another thing, as far as the braids go, from the stuff that I've seen on the internet, is like the braids will loosen over time and deform. So we could take the same braid and then just kind of do what I'm doing here, which is just take the corners of it and spread them out and widen them.
Mm-hmm.
A looser braid, like it's falling out. It doesn't have to be a very tight braid like you would like a rope or whatever. So it's
Right.
like, once I get this thing done, I could probably make it look 3 or 4 different ways.
What the heck?
That is somebody's car outside. That's not ours.
Apologies.
It's coming through both of our mics.
Your guy is almost looking like kind of primate-ish.
Yeah. Okay. I guess I'll throw some teeth in mine since I opened his mouth up. I don't want to stop this before I throw some teeth in it.
Yeah, I haven't
But
thrown
I'm
it.
going to call that on the braid part right there. But I'm just going to show how easy it is to get it on both sides, right? So we're just going to hit the mirror weld button, and I have that one there. And then we're going to take this piece here. We're going to mirror weld that as well. And so that's pretty much, we could call it quits on that, right? But one other thing that we can do is I can make, let's see, I can copy it. Can duplicate, right? And then we can pretty much use those somewhere else. See if the symmetry will move both things. Coming out of his eyeballs.
What if you had braids coming off of his eyebrows? Oh, dude.
No, actually, on Lord of the Rings, one of the skinny little dopey one, I think his braids actually do come off of his eyebrows. They're like braided into his eyebrows.
Yeah, I love that.
So yeah, that's just, you know, I don't know if we're keeping those or not, but that's what the benefit to having, you know, ZBrush is such a strong software. It's like if you know how to reuse your assets, you can just kind of reposition them however you want and make this one a little bit bigger and make this one a little bit bigger. And next thing you know, we have another set there. And then I guess with this one, I just duplicate that one. I probably should have done this. What happened to the ones I just put in there? Did they disappear? Oh, they're hidden. All right, so then we can actually separate these again. Split the unmasked points. So now I can move this separately. These are different objects. And basically just throw these back on where they were supposed to go. I could have made this one piece before, but I didn't want it to distort if I decided I wanted to move the beard around a little bit. Yeah. All right, so then we have it there again. So we do the same thing to this piece. And the other thing with this is if they're separate and they're not one piece, I can actually change them out for other ones, have it not, you know, not symmetrical. Sorry, wrong word there.
You must have isometric.
Isometrical. All right. What did I say I was going to do? I said I was going to do some teeth. We'll go look at yours next while I'm kind of setting up the teeth. So
yeah, it's kind of.
Is that what you're doing right now?
Yeah, I'm doing the mouth. Kind of trying to give him like a bit of a grin. I feel like it's not really turning out how I want it to.
Is that just a sphere in there?
No, it's a cylinder.
Okay. Now this is where I think it wouldn't be really cheating. I know we make everything from a ball, but if I were to import teeth, right? Because
yeah, I mean you can do that.
I don't want to. Every time we do this, I don't want to just say, okay, this is how I sculpt a tooth again, you know, over and over.
Right. Yeah.
But I'll do it this time. Click back over to me. So again, here's the square. I'm going to. Oh, that's not bad. I'm going to shrink it down. I'm going to shrink it down. Make it skinny. Make it smaller. Bring it down. Kind of put it where a tooth would be. And I want these to print out. And this is something that we figured out recently, Tristan, is that it's okay to have thick teeth, right? Mm-hmm. Because the 3D printer has to be able to print them. And if they're too thin, like a tooth would be on this size of character, they tend to not print out if the settings aren't perfect. So this is a way we're kind of, I guess, faking. Not faking tooth, just making it so it's a little bit thicker, you know. But if I just left one tooth on it,
that'd be fun.
It wouldn't make it sensitive right in the middle. Mm-hmm. But this is another thing that we're not going to do, right? We're not going to sculpt out the tongue behind the. Well, maybe. Let me see real quick.
I think it just depends on kind of what you're doing.
How open it is, though. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go back to the head real quick, and I'll kind of sculpt in a tongue a little bit, kind of like a heart shape. Probably should have just masked that off. The same thing Tristan does with the what tool do you use?
Huh?
To build up your forms. What brush is that? One I know.
Clay buildup.
Yeah. So I'm doing pretty much the same thing. You build up the form and then you sculpt it down, and you build up the form and then you smooth it down. You just do that over and over. So then I got some sort of tongue here, you know.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm going to do for that there. And then we'll go back over to the tooth, and then I'm just going to copy and paste this a couple times. And then we'll see where we get from there. So duplicate the tooth, move it over. And again, this is where I guess with the teeth, it could end up looking awfully cartoony, right?
Yeah, it could.
But if I don't like these teeth after, you know, after the stream or whatever, I'll go back in and
fix it.
switch them out with something else. Duplicate. So the first one here is 1, 2. The third one over would be your like canine tooth, right? So we'll give that a little bit of a. I'm back, Tristan. I'm back to doing this with my mouse. I think I've used the mouse so much that I default to it a lot of times. When I'm positioning things, I always use the mouse. Do you ever do that, or do you position it with the pen?
I do. I do use the mouse every once in a while. It just depends on what I'm doing. If I'm working a lot with Z modeler, then I won't use my pen quite as much because, you know, I'm essentially just box modeling at that point, and it doesn't really require a whole lot of like, I guess, like freeform movement.
Okay.
Yeah, like normal sculpting would.
Mm-hmm.
So I can get away with not having to use it all the time, or not having to use my pen all the time.
Gotcha. Yeah, most of the things I did last year, I did pretty heavily with the mouse because the thing broke on me. So yeah, I'm not really super crazy about these teeth right now, but we're just gonna throw them in there so I can see kind of what's going to happen. I think I'm going to on the next. So that's a way to put some teeth in there. They're pretty square and not really. I mean, this is one of those points where I'd sit there for hours, right, and just keep rotating them, looking at it from different angles, moving it, making adjustments to with the width of it, you know, and see if I like them with a gap or a crooked or a slightly crooked. I'm not slightly crooked all of them a little bit because nobody's perfect, right?
Yeah.
And like we said, teeth give character, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna give my guy some character. So there's a little bit. Any thoughts on those teeth so far? You think they're too big? Oh, that's real big.
No. Honestly, I probably like the way you're doing it more than how I'm doing it. I don't always do it like this, but I'm just kind of like concepting it out. I'm not really.
Are those?
I'm just kind of like cutting them in.
Oh, okay, you're just drawing them on.
I like see what it would look like.
Right.
And this isn't obviously how I would want it to stay, but I think right now I'm just kind of focusing on trying to get the grin where I want it. And you know what? I realize teeth are kind of important for that.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think with your teeth, again, just being at the concept part, it's hard to see the end result right now. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's part of this. It's like, um, you know, however, however it's going to look in the end might not be. He almost, he almost looks like Samoan.
You know, I was kind of thinking that either like Samoan or like Mongolian.
Yeah,
I was thinking like
I
he's kind of giving me some Genghis Khan
dwarves,
vibes.
dwarves can look like anything. They're fictitious, right? So
Man, I'm really making his cheeks
it's
fat.
it's no, that's the thing. It's the cheek part you have lower gives it a almost like an Eskimo look to
Hmm.
the face, which is different. So I don't think anybody's done one that looks like that yet. So keep going with it.
Yeah, I'm really liking it actually.
All right, I'm gonna do the teeth on the bottom differently. So
The squinting on the eyes,
I'm going.
or like the really show the intensity of his expression. It's kind of the laugh lines around his eyes.
Yeah, that's where you get into the tertiary details, right? That really either set it apart. That's the fun part. I don't know. What part do you think's the fun part? Do you think doing all that little stuff's the fun part, or the concepting part is
Um,
is better?
I have a lot of fun with the concepting part. It There are times when I get to the tertiary details where the process starts to feel almost somewhat tedious.
Right.
And I think that's kind of where I get into some of my like
Funks.
funks, is because at certain areas like the process just gets starts to get tedious, and
Starts to feel like work.
yeah, it starts to feel a lot more like work than passion.
Right.
Which, I mean, that's gonna happen obviously.
So on that gin, what I was working on earlier today, uh, I had a process that I tried that we're still on yours.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just keep it on you for just a little bit longer. But it was a way that I pretty much drew the teeth in, like in color, to help me
Mm,
see like the start of it, and then it worked great for the back teeth. So I'm curious to see how it's going to work on the front teeth.
yeah.
So in just a minute, we'll click back over to me. What are you doing with those eyes right now?
Well, right now I'm taking I'm masking them off so I can bring some of this eyebrow down. Not so much to like intensify his expression, but to just sort of simulate, well, not simulate, but fold his eyelid or his brow over his eyelid. Because that's what what your eyes essentially do is they fold. Uh, your eyebrow like folds over your eyelid, and so the best way to show that is to sort of just mask off the different sections and just kind of move it over top.
No, okay, that's the technique that I haven't tried. That's
Yeah,
pretty.
I feel like we don't use, or maybe it's just me, or maybe it's both of us, but we don't use the mask tool enough for like um processes like this, right? It's like normally when we think it's like, oh, we want to simulate a fold, so let's just like crease in the eye with the Damien standard brush or something, right? But what you can literally do is just mask off the section and just fold it over itself.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe somewhat lose that.
All right, so we're gonna go back to mine. Okay,
Effect.
and so this is the process I used earlier. Okay, so I added in a rough gum shape, right? So there's my gums. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I put the gums in there where the teeth are, where the tongue is, right? So
Oh, nice.
what
Yeah.
I did, and I'll just make this flesh color, and then I will go to the standard tool, turn on RGB, and the material, just so I can make those gums a gum color, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess at this point, I could probably just go in just because it's for video, right? And it helps people.
So that's like the whole process I don't do. It's just like coloring in.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just going to give it a shot.
Mhm.
We'll go to the skin shader. Ooh. Come down here to some sort of peach color. And then I'm going to select that guy and fill it. So now the head is peach. And maybe if I just turn everything else to brown, hey, well, not the teeth. He's got some brown teeth. We'll go to the eyes first. We'll go to eyes. We'll go the white with the eyes, color, fill, and then we'll turn everything else to brown. And these teeth, we'll go to an off white.
It's another process that I kind of go through in my head to sort of figure out
Fill
like
object.
the character of the piece.
What's that?
This is gonna sound funny, but when I'm making the chin, I ask myself the question: do I want this guy to have a perfect like a round chin, like a normal round chin, or do I want to give him a butt chin or a bullet chin?
Round butt or bullet? That's your questions.
Yeah, round butt or bullet. Like, what does this guy look like? Does he look like more of a butt chin or a bullet chin?
Well, with the dwarf, you should not see a chin, so that's not something you probably needed to ask yourself on this one, huh?
True, but this one kind of does have somewhat of an exposed chin.
Okay. All right. So back to my thing. So now I'm going to go to Z add, and we're going to take off the material, and we're just going to go to RGB. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to this off-white color. I could have colored the beard in. So we're going to kind of draw out where the teeth are supposed to be, right? So if you see, okay, select on that guy. So if you can kind of see that, there's a little bump there. And I don't know if this is going to work. This is just me trying it out. And I don't know why it's so dark. Should be tooth color. Maybe I'll do that. Show object. Nope, that didn't work. Okay, so he's going to have darker teeth. Oh, there it is. What happened there? Control Z. So, like almost like Gollum teeth, right? At the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of go where the teeth, and they stop doing the color. Why did it stop doing the color? RGB. Maybe it's this one. And so then I know when I get to the molars, and this is not working like it worked earlier. I don't know. That's a little bit better. Okay. And then we'll get with these bigger ones back here. And so from here, I can just kind of fill these teeth in a little bit bigger in the process. I got this funny fall off here, so this isn't really working great, but you see what I'm doing here?
Yeah.
And
No,
it doesn't match the teeth I have in there currently, but it's kind of building it up.
honestly,
Almost like
I kind of like that though. Like I kind of like that. They obviously need a lot of work,
right.
but like
Yeah, so
the
I'm gonna spend a couple, and it actually worked pretty quickly before.
it almost looks more organic than the other methods that I've seen.
Yeah. Looks like he needs some caps on these. He looks like he's got caps on the top. The teeth. So there's that. And then from here, I would solo this out because I kind of see where I want them, and I can go from different views. And this is where I would go ahead and use the move tool, and I would kind of just pull them out into a tooth shape. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That one's kind of feeling better here. Why is that happening? You know, push this one out here. Pull that one this way. Teeth are kind of dished, you know, kind of in here. And again, nobody's going to see this, but this might be a method that I would use on a bigger troll, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But you want them flat at the top. So yeah, we're looking more human-like now, less goblin-y or less troll-like now. But there's your bottom teeth, I guess, incisor, if that's what they call the bottom one. I'm not sure. So it's starting to look a little bit better, like this.
I kind of added a little bit more like I started doing a little bit of like detailing on the hair.
Okay, let me just finish this little teeth thing here, and then I'll click back over to yours. And again, I'm back to the mouse, clicking around these teeth. When I go to cut in the details, I'll switch it back out. But all right, so let's see what the bottom teeth look like in there. Again, they're completely different. They're too small, so I'm going to work on making them a little bit bigger. I can also probably maybe I can just scale this up. Scale them up that way. I don't know why they're gray. Have to figure that out later. Go
Is that
back
your
to
computer?
what? Ramping up like that?
I can hear it. I can hear it revving.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, it is. All right, we'll go back to you. Maybe I use headphones next time. I'm not sure.
So what I'm kind of doing right here is I'm like really like thinning out his hairline.
Okay, yeah.
And just kind of giving him like
Well, here's the question though,
a
right?
mega receded hairline.
It's receding right there. Wouldn't it be receding right where them big fat braids start though?
I mean, that's like a separate section of the head. Usually, like, you know, when people or when guys with like receding hairlines, it usually just recedes off the top. You know,
Right.
you can have the sides be perfectly like,
Okay, I got you.
but I am gonna kind of like bring this down maybe just a little bit. Braids here, just so it kind of feels more natural.
Okay.
Just kind of bring that in just a bit. Yeah, here we go. And then I'll just take like the snake hook brush and just like kind of drag them out where I want them.
All right, so we got about 15 minutes before we hit our 2 hour mark. Just letting you know.
Okay. So do you wanna just cut it at 2 hours?
Yeah, we'll cut it too.
Okay. That seems good. 1 hour really just like flies by.
Yeah, maybe like that will be something we could try to get it down to eventually. Let's see. I'm gonna give him gold beads in the beard.
I think a cool way to approach like character design, just from my experience,
Mm-hmm.
is like asking yourself like all of those questions like I asked like earlier, right? It's like, okay, like for this guy, like do I see him with like again like a bullet chin or a or like a butt chin or just a regular chin, right? It's like kind of approach it the same way you'd approach like a character customizer like in a video game, you know?
Right, right.
Like you have all these different options, right? Which in this case the options are just, you know, normal options you would see on any person, or like normal features you would see on any person. And then just like saying, all right, you know, which of these features do I want to apply to this? That's kind of how I like to take my approach to unique character designs,
Mm-hmm.
or characters that like have a sense of like personality. Is like, you know, instead of doing the like typical thing you normally see with like a dwarf, it's like, you know, what can you do to change it? Well, in this case, I decided to give him an extreme receding hairline and make the majority of his hair coming from the top of his head or from like the side of his head, and bring it down to like his beard. You
Well,
know,
my guy's still bald, so he's receded all the way. Yeah, I got what you're saying. Yeah, it's just this is with any character. It's like, what have you seen and what haven't you seen? So,
yeah,
you know, it's going to be neat just going through this whole process where it's like, what is like, I guess, what's the default thing or how quick can we get this? Because, like, for me at least, it's like, uh, hold on one second. I got to think for a second.
okay.
All right. For me, it's more like what shortcuts can we take, or maybe this will help your work better because you'll be so used to doing these things quickly, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and I think that just kind of helps the process. You know, I always use different like shortcuts for my work just make it faster. Not to like try and like diminish the quality of it, because I always try to make sure that the quality stays consistent.
I got you.
But you know, one thing they always taught us in school is like, you know, when you're working in like a studio setting or like a generally just more professional setting, like most of the time they don't really care how you achieve something, as long as you know you're not like just outright stealing something. But it's like, you know, if you need to use shortcuts or certain techniques or tricks to produce, you know, a quality effect in a faster time, then you know they'll totally tell you to take that.
I got you.
You know, I wasn't going to block out or do like all of my hair with the standard brush, but it's just kind of turned out that way.
Yeah. Do you not usually use the standard brush?
Usually I use like the Damien standard brush, because like, you know, it gives you like a more like crisp cut, Look,
Hey, real quick, check my
that's
guy
like
out.
more stylized, I feel like.
Real quick, check my guy out.
Yeah, let's see. What?
He is he's excited. I really didn't build up the top eyelid yet. That's why it looks so crazy.
You,
But
you know what the shape of his head kind of reminds me
what's that?
of? Like the shape of his head kind of reminds me of J.K. Simmons, just a little bit. I
Okay.
don't know. Maybe he's like
His I think his ears kind of look like your Uncle Dave's.
a little bit.
So let's see that.
I really want to see. I really want to see a J.K. Simmons dwarf now.
You have the power and the time. Have at it. All right. So there's my start. What I would do is, I guess, for the last little 15 minutes there,
15 minutes.
I'll just go back into the actual face and start cutting in some kind of details.
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep up with this hair for now. I don't really know if the hair is gonna stay like this.
Are you going? Is this one you feel like you're going to continue with?
Honestly, I would really like to because like I've really kind of fallen for this design that I came up with.
Sweet.
Yeah, I like it a
My guy's
lot.
neat. I think my guy looks a little Pixar like with this shader on.
Yeah, that's why I try not to use like different shaders and whatnot. I usually just stick with the matte cap gray. You know, it when I was a kid, I would look at like the ZBrush projects
Yeah.
that people would do, and like the process shots would always be in the matte cap or like red wax,
Yeah.
right? And I used to think that like the red wax was like so cool looking and whatnot, but it's so bad for like actually like getting a good
Oh, to see the shape and the shading of it all.
to see the shape and the shading and the depth in which like your lines are like a lot of your lines are going,
Right.
because like if you notice like it'll accentuate the creases in your lines here. So it's like, if I started to just sculpt in more of these crease lines, you know it doesn't really give me, I feel like, a good grasp of the depth of like the true depth of it.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I stopped using that particular filter quite a long time ago.
All right. So I'm just going to talk about some of these things that I'm sculpting in right now. So like this pad of fat that I'm putting in right here, a lot of people don't put in when they're sculpting mouse. And it kind of comes through here. As you get older, you can start to see that a little bit more. But
Yeah,
it's gonna,
sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I had that until I like really like thickened up his cheeks.
Yes,
And
that's
then it
the
just kind
well.
of
That's
faded
when
out.
you're using your clay buildup. I feel like that's a bit of destructive. A lot of times, like I see you do stuff, and then I see you do the clay buildup, and I feel like it kind of ruins stuff you've already had.
It can kind of be destructive, but I don't really look at it in a way of like, oh, I've ruined what I had, because if I really wanted to, I could just dial it back and
Well,
like um scrub through my history and take it back to a place I like it, and then make the proper adjustments.
right. Um, I was using on the gin that I just did. Um, I was using the what was that brush I said earlier? I can't remember the name of it.
I don't remember what
Slash two, right?
Oh,
With
yeah,
that
yeah.
alpha. And then I was able to just go back over with standard, and it didn't destroy the slash marks that I made. It just bumped them up or down at the
Yeah.
time. So like I really like that. I think his face almost looks Brad Pitt-ish. My guy.
Really?
It's just the width of it, like right here.
I mean, maybe it could be like you can't really see his jaw, but it kind of gives the shape. Are you gonna give him a mustache, or are you gonna leave his upper lip bald?
Not sure. I think I'll go scroll through everybody else's and see how many are upper lipless and how much have upper lip, because I'm putting all this effort into the lip. But again, this could be, how I like to do iterations of my sculpts. Like it could be I do multiples of these that some have an upper one and some don't. It's not going to look the same. I don't like it when, people just slap a beard on a model and call it a different model. It's like if you're going to sell something different, just kind of resculpt it. But as far as how I do that morph, how I do the morphs for the goblins that I did back a little bit ago. Yeah. What about the nose? We make it bigger. We like it that size.
I'm
going to.
I think it's an all right size, but I would maybe like play around with the shape of it a bit more.
I'm looking for the inflate brush.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because when I inflated it before, that's when it starts to look cartoony. You know what I mean?
His nose looks very flat.
Well,
which,
yeah, I mean, I can do it, and that's the thing. You just go from different angles and just kind of bump it up, make it look different. Let's see, go back where I was. I think the see, that's poking out a little too far. I don't know, I'll keep playing with it. Let me go back to here and see where you're at. He looks like a tribal elder, is what he looks like.
Yeah.
Pull back. Let me see it like straight front on. Yeah, it's cool. I think I'm going to give my guy a less excited expression now. I'm going to pull these eyelids a little bit up. So yeah, we got the Purple Gang show on tonight. I think that comes on later at 9, and then we have Hedgehog Action show coming up at 6. So we're gonna get off before that, gonna get some food and hop on there.
Yeah, I'm hungry.
Watch that stuff. Now he just looks happy. Before he was looking like, I don't know.
Oh, my guy?
My guy. Your guy looks happy too. He looks like, well, I don't want to say he looks like. He looks like he's very pleased with something.
He's pleased with his ale.
That's a good find. I like that. I like that cake that you're bringing me. I like them dwarven cupcakes. That's the look he's got. Yeah, so my guy's not old. Like I was expecting my guy to look a little bit older, but I guess maybe it's because he doesn't have that lip,
Well, I mean, like
maybe it's the Pixar filter.
Crease lines do a lot for age, and sagging parts or like sagging features.
Yeah.
Although my character's features don't really sag that much, but he still looks like very
plump. Well, his cheeks look. I can't say it. I can't talk. His cheeks look plump.
Yeah, but I feel like in some areas, like I still like maybe like around the eyes, right? Like you can still kind of see a bit of sagginess, especially if I accentuate it in the lower eyelids. Let me just kind of take the Damien Standard brush and just kind of
Yeah.
brushing it along like the bottom uh folds. I don't know. How do you say that? And that's where you start to get a bit of sag in his eyelids.
I mean, it didn't look bad before you put all that in. So again, these are going to be on real tiny, real tiny sized characters,
Yeah.
6-inch scale. So again, with you versus me, it's like the two heads that I've done, I've put on bigger characters. Do you feel like when we're sculpting, right? You sculpt for camera or for video, and I know whether you sculpt for print, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you sculpting differently than you would if you were, say, doing a ZBrush showpiece?
I mean, if it were something that I never intended on printing and
You're just looking straight up in the camera, like as a piece.
then I would probably put a lot more like details into like, you know, individual places. Like I'd probably do a lot more with the hair. Um, I would probably give him like skin pores and then like really just like go in like super close and
Well,
just
so
like
like
define all like the
that
wrinkles and
over
everything.
to the skin pore thing. Like if you, I don't know how closely you looked at the upcoming wave when we were at Legion's Con this year, but like they're getting a lot of like pore texture into these little faces, and I think it's partially due with the 8K screens.
Oh yeah,
So I'm just
I wouldn't
wondering,
doubt it.
what's the printer that we have right now? What is the resolution of that screen? Do you remember?
So the big one I know is I'm pretty sure 8K. I'm
You,
pretty sure we could get
you think
8K
that
quality off that.
oh, that's a lot higher than I thought it was.
Yeah. Which I mean, it's a lot big. It's a lot bigger of a screen too. So I don't know how much that like translates, or like how the size of the screen translates into the quality that's produced.
Right. I gave my guy a tongue, colored in his tongue and the inside of his mouth a little bit. So, where are we at on time? All right, so we got a couple minutes. Everybody that's tuning in later, thank you for joining us. Thanks for everybody that's already been here, left the comments. Really appreciate it. Hopefully, we'll get some more people next week. I'll start promoting it a little bit more. And yeah, me and Tristan are here on Saturdays around noonish. We had to push it back a little bit today because we had company over, but we're just looking to do this and knock some sculpts out, and
Have some fun.
hopefully we'll get some more sculpts out this year than we did last year. And because I love doing everything, probably the most the most fun I have is this, and it's also a lot cleaner. My house has been torn apart with customs for 3 years, so this is real neat and tidy. And Tristan's was doing a lot of concepts last year, or a lot of commissions last year. So hopefully we'll get some more products out like this with this method in mind. So anything else you want to say? We'll go turn around this real quick so I can get the whole gist of mine,
Maybe just get one more quick turnaround of mine.
and then we'll give you a quick turnaround.
Quick. I never did get to the ears, but
I mean,
I'll probably get to those
you might not see them,
through all of the thick hair.
Yeah.
I feel
All
like
right.
I still kind of want to put them in, but
All right, guys. Thanks a lot, and we will check you next time. Thank you.
catch you guys later.